lore of Dual Terminal, the Tellarknights are the descendants of the Constellars, and descended from the heavens to help protect the notorious Sacred Tree from the oncoming Shaddoll threat. In the actual game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, the Tellarknights are a rank 4 Xyz deck that focuses on swarming the field with monsters. It used to be at the top of the meta back in 2015, but unfortunately fell out of fashion when cards stopped doing one thing each and started doing 20. But the Tellarknights are just too cool for me to give up on. They're my favourite Dual Terminal faction, they remind me of one of the best anime ever made, and I have so many good memories playing them in my secondary school cafeteria. So I've decided to see if I can make these guys work in the modern age. If you do remember, I did make a Tellarknight deck profile a while back, but in all honesty, that one wasn't as good as it could have been. It still kinda died to one interruption at times, and the hands weren't always too consistent, so here I am with this video, and spoiler alert, a new deck list that will take Tellarknights to the next level. Of course, we live in an age of generic and pricey engines that any deck can use, like Bestials and Fiendsmith, and since the Tellers are a rank 4 deck, Ryziel spit the bill too. But that's just boring. I wouldn't want to play a deck like that, because then my beloved Tellarknights would be reduced to just tourists in their own deck. All these meta engines will be doing all the heavy lifting, while the Tellers would just be along for the ride. So I wanted to make a deck where the Tellarknights prove they're awesome with their own strategies, not just because you can get 2 of them out and they make Moon of the Closed Heavens or whatever. And the answer to achieving this lies in their forefathers, the Constellars. Yep, this is in fact a Constellar Tellarknight deck, which uses the best of both archetypes in order to make the monster swarming strategy as best as possible. I designed it to swarm in short bursts with backup options available pretty much all the time. So if it does get ashed or drolled or Nibiru'd, you will be able to put together some form of Xyz monster to be your boss for that turn. I tested my Tellarknight deck for the first time at my university's Yu-Gi-Oh! Club, and it did beat Pearly and Mitsurugi Argo Stars, so it can definitely square up with the new kids on the block. One last thing before I go on to the deck profile. I'm sure there's one question on everybody's minds, so I'll just address the horse girl in the room. Can you Ptolemaios timeskip with this deck list? The answer is yes, but I wouldn't recommend it just because of how many resources it takes. It is insanely situational, and will only really be a deciding factor if you already have something on the field, which will have to be in your extra monster zone because this needs 5 materials to pull off. So yeah, for most of the time, you're better off using your Tellarknights just to make multiple boss monsters instead of perform what's essentially a glorified upstart goblin. Okay, that's enough of me yapping. On to the deck. Let's start off with the main deck Constellar monsters, because there aren't too many of those. Kicking things off, we got one copy of Constellar Cataceus, who can special summon himself if you control another Constellar monster, and also search you a Constellar spell or trap card too. And then one Constellar Sheridan. He is a level 3 normal summon, so you don't really want to draw him, but he is necessary for a certain Xyz monster's effect, which we'll get into later. Rounding off the Constellars, we have triple Tellarknight Lyran and one Tellarknight All-Terran. I know I said Constellars. These Tellarknights actually are always treated as Constellars thanks to their text. I think we can all agree that there was a very missed opportunity by not calling these guys Constellarknights. But let's get into what they do. Lyran here, she is the most important card in the deck. When you normal summon a Tellar or a Constellar, she can special summon herself from the hand. So once your opponent's hand traps your first Tellar or Constellar, you can just go ha, I have another one, and then that gets you the material for an Xyz. And also, all the Tellarknights do have an effect when they're summoned. Hers is to search you any Tellarknight spell or trap card.
which, as you'll later find out, is instrumental to our combos. And as for the one-off guy here, All Terran, his summon effect is that you can destroy cards up to the number of light or dark Xyzs you control, which is why he's a one-off, because that's a bit situational. And also, he can special summon himself back from the graveyard when you special summon a Tellarknight or a Constellar, but this does give you a lock that only your Xyz monsters can attack this turn. But that shouldn't be too much of a problem, because everything in terms of your extra deck is Xyz. Now on to the other Tellarknights, the ones who are not counted as Constellars. We got triple Tellarknight Altair. His summon effect is to special summon a Tellarknight from your graveyard, but this also comes with another lock, that only your Tellarknight monsters can attack this turn. Yeah, there's a ton of locks in this deck. I mean, honestly, the combos are easy once you get the hang of them, but the real difficulty is just remembering what you can't do once you actually resolve the combos. Joining Altair, we have 2 copies of Vega. Her effect is to special summon a Teller from the hand when she's summoned. And 3 of Deneb, whose summon effect is to search another Teller. Rounding off our Tellarknights, we have 3 of Unukalai, whose summon effect is to mill a Teller. Well, not mill isn't the right term, I mean like send to the graveyard. And then, now for our non-name monsters. 3 Sakitama. For every single old-style rank 4 deck that still wants to fight, this Smiling Ball of Light is quintessential. Lovely little extender here that will help you get out the Xyz monster you want no matter what. And now for the hand traps. One honest, I will not budge on this. He is my favourite hand trap. He will never leave this deck. And he is actually super relevant because most of the Tellarknights have pretty low attack points for their level/rank. So if your opponent has one of those nasties that's just like unaffected by card effects and has like billions of attack points, you can just turn the tide with this honest over here. 1 Nibiru, my second favourite hand trap. I mean, not much to say, it is Nibiru. 2 Ash Blossoms. And 2 Ghost Ogres. There is a reason why we have so many light hand traps, and that is because, if we move on to the spells, to help keep things consistent, we are running 1 Small World. I tried running it at 2 or 3, but it would just clog off the deck a bit, so we're doing it at 1. And now, triple Constellar Tellarknights. Lyran might be the most important card in this deck. This is a close second, because this continuous spell does everything. When it's activated, you can special summon a Teller or a Constellar from your hand or graveyard, essentially kickstarting your combo all over again. And once per turn, you can rank up one of your name Xyz monsters into another one, as long as it has a different level, which is honestly insane. And does it have any looks? Let me check. Huh. No looks. That's a rarity. I can't say the same for this next one, though. Skybridge. Skybridge is absolutely goated. It's the OG combo extender for Tellarknights, where you'd shuffle a Teller you control into the deck and special summon a new Teller. The only catch is, as long as that new Teller is on the field, you can only special summon Tellarknight monsters, so you might want to Xyz that one off as quickly as possible. Of course, we are playing a warrior deck, so reinforcement of the army is a must. And everything has an effect on summon, so Monster Reborn is another must. We also have a Called by the Grave, and a Dark Ruler No More, just to shut down the opponent a bit. And a Harpy's Feathered Duster, to destroy those pesky spell and trap cards. Speaking of trap cards, here's the only one we're running. 3 copies of Stellar Nova Alpha, a counter trap that for cost, sends one of your tellers to the graveyard to trigger an Omni Negate, and then if that's successful, you draw a card. This card is absolutely phenomenal. The only issue with it is that, of course, you can't search it, since Lyran only does spell cards. So yeah, bit of a shame there, but when you draw it, it is game-changing. That's it for the main deck. Extra deck time! Starting things off, we have the new ace of the deck. Triple Tellarknights Constellar Cadaceus. If you've watched this channel for a while, you know I don't usually tend to do 3-ofs in the extra deck. Cadaceus is the exception because he really does do everything and is super important for the Constellar Tellarknight deck. When he's XC summoned, you can straight up get one Tellarknight card and one Constellar card from your graveyard and add them to your hand. Which once again is a bit of a shame this isn't treated as a Tellarknight card, being called Stellar Nova instead. But the wording is in our favour when it comes to the new Tellarknights like Lyran and Alteran, because you could recycle those plus one of the regular Tellarknight cards as well. Like you could just be like, add back Lyran, add back Constellar Tellers. And then as for his detaching effect, you can detach for cost and then banish one from your deck and he gains its effect when it was summoned. This is where Sheraton comes in, because you'd banish Sheraton, search Cadaceus, you do indeed have a Constellar, special Cadaceus, you have more material, and then Cadaceus will search your Constellar Tellarknights, and boom, another combo is in the works. But don't be tricked into thinking that Sheraton is the only viable target. Cadaceus can search your spell cards with Lyran. He can also search your monsters with Deneb. And just do anything really, which is why he's at 3. And also because he is more of a combo continuer rather than the end result, despite his high attack points, he is a very valid target to rank up with your Constellar Tellarknights when it's time to get something strong on the field. Long story short, go Cadaceus. Next up, we have the infamous Tellarknight Ptolemaeus at 2. Something, something, turn skip, something, something. It's another good one to rank up with your Constellar Tellarknights. And it can also rank itself up into some non-name cards, which will be pretty cool with one we're going to introduce later. Then we have the old ace of the deck, Travers. My goat. My boy. We took down that secondary school together, me and you. But yeah, when XD summoned, all other cards on the field return to the hand. And then Travers' detach effect means that you can discard a random card from your opponent's hand. So it's basically a roundabout way of getting their cards in the graveyard and breaking their board. There is a lock on Travers, which is that when he's XC summoned, you can only summon like Tellarknight monsters, so be careful when you're using your Constellar cards around this guy. And a lot of the old Tellarknight XD's monsters would have an effect when they're sent to the graveyard, with Travers being that you can special summon a Tellarknight from your graveyard, so essentially, if your opponent kills him, the combo restarts. The same goes for Deltaros. When Deltaros is sent to the graveyard, a Tellarknight gets special summoned from your deck, so the combo potential becomes even crazier. Deltaros' other effects are detach 1 to destroy a card on the field, and you can't activate cards in response to the summon. Pretty good kit to have in the toolbox. And it's worth noting, Constellar Tellarknights, a rank up, does count as an XD summon, so if you rank one of your 5s or 6s down into a Travers, the effect that will bounce everything back to the hand will still go off. And then we have Dark Tellarknight Bartholomeus. This is a bit of an emergency card. If you want your Travers or your Deltaros but you don't have 3 materials, you can just do a 2 material Bartholomeus, detach a card and discard a card, and then she'll rank herself up into one of the other 2. also turns every monster on the field dark, which is a very neat counterpart to Tellarknight Constellar Diamond, who has an unlimited detach to Omni Negate a dark monster. Crazy stuff over here. And of course you can rank him up naturally by turning any of your other Tellar XCs into him during your main phase 2. And also, he is one hell of a floodgate, because when he's on the field, neither player can send cards from the deck to the graveyard, and any card returned from the graveyard to the hand is banished instead. So the ability to shut down 2 important combo starting mechanics, and Dark, one of the most common monster attributes, is insane. You definitely need this guy to shut down a lot of modern meta decks. And even if your opponent isn't running Dark, combo him up with Batlamius, and then you get your as many as you want per turn monster negates. Lovely combo over here. We have over here Constellar Pleiades, another rank up target, who has a quick effect detached to bounce. And M7, a non-quick effect detached to bounce. But here's the thing, you don't run M7 for his bounce effect. You run it for some silly combos with Constellar Tellarknights. Like, let's say you get out your Catachaos or your Batlamius, or just any rank 4 that you want to rank up. Rank up into Ptolemy M7, because Ptolemy M7 can just be ranked up on top of another Constellar monster. Alright, so forget what I said about Batlamius. It is just your Catachaos, if you want to rank up your Catachaos into another one. Rank up into M7, Tellarknights, rank down into one of your level 4s, like Deltros or whatever. Just a neat bit of toolkit to have. Or if you want to make something like Pleiades have more material, of course, the same thing. Rank up, rank down. Boom. And then, of course, this is an Xyz deck. Sometimes you will only have one material. And that's when Typhon comes in. Enough said. I mentioned earlier that Ptolemaios can rank up into non-name Xyz monsters, which is why we do run one Cyber Dragon Nova and one Cyber Dragon Infinity, for like getting rid of those monsters that can't be destroyed by card effects, or for negating, or for just general shenanigans. Infinity is always appreciated. And since this deck does burn through materials a lot, the last we're running is Daigusto Emerald, just to recycle your cards a bit. There is a way to free up an extra deck slot by running Sirius in the main deck, and then triggering Sirius's Pot of Avarice effect with Catachaos, but I don't like that for 2 reasons. The first is that it could clog up the main deck. I mean, we're already running Sheraton, we don't need another Garnet. And also because Sirius will only target Tellarknight monsters to shuffle into the deck. Emerald can target anything, so you can recycle your Infinity and your other stuff as well, so it's just a lot more useful in my opinion. And that's it for the deck profile. On to the combos. Tellarknight combos are very unga bunga. I mean, it is just rank 4 swarming. Once you've memorized the looks, then you've pretty much got the deck under the wraps. So I'm not going to do a big long combo segment, but what I will do is do a turn skip. I know I said earlier it wasn't too effective, but it does show a lot of the deck's monsters doing what they do best, and it's the perfect way to show you some pointers on how combos would look like without, just spoon feeding it to you. So let's skip some turns and make some players rage before they realize, wait, my opponent has no materials and one 2600 defense monster. They literally just got themselves a card draw and nothing else. So yeah, let's go. What we need for this one is Lyran and then either Deneb or Eunuculi. Let's go for the Eunuculi. Okay, so normal your Eunuculi. Eunuculi effect will trigger, but then of course chain Lyran to special summon, and then her effect will trigger. So let's first do the Unuculi. We'll be sending something. Good targets for a Unuculi send would be Deneb, so you have so you can special summon the Deneb and then add something. Or if there's another Teller in your hand, Vega, so you can get that Teller. Or the one we're going to be doing for this combo, Alteran. You want Alteran in the graveyard as much as possible to trigger his special effect, which is another reason why we're only running one, because, well, you just want Unuculi to send him to the grave. And of course, with Lyran, we are going to fetch ourselves Tellarknights Skybridge. I know I said Constellar Tellers was more important, but we will be getting out Catachaos later, and Catachaos can only search out Constellar trap cards, not trap cards, spell cards, so if we want Skybridge, we'll need to use Lyran as our searcher. Okay, 2 on the field, 1 in the grave, let's do some XZs climbing. These 2 become Tellarknight Constellar Catachaos, and with the special summon of a Teller, Alteran returns to the field. Next up, Catachaos effect, detach Lyran in order to banish Sheraton. And of course, this will give Catachaos Sheraton's effect on summon, which is to add a Constellar to your hand. Let's add ourselves that Catachaos we were talking about earlier. There he is. Since Tellarknight Constellar Catachaos and Tellarknight Alteran both count as Constellars, special your Catachaos, and use his effect to search your Constellar Tellarknight continuous spell card. Next up, we are going to Skybridge and target the Catachaos. He'll return to the extra deck. And then we get to special summon a Tellarknight from our deck. The one I'm going to be picking will be Deneb. And upon summon, Deneb will fetch us Altair. And now, activate Constellar Tellarknights. And when it's activated, we'll special summon Altair. And when Altair is summoned, we can get back one of our Tellers from the graveyard. Now, all 5 overlay into Tellarknight Constellar Catachaos. Yeah, this is what I mean by the turn skip requiring too many resources. It takes 2 of your 3 Catachaoses to perform, but whatever. Using M7's effect, Catachaos ranks up into M7. And now that we have a rank 6, we can use Constellar Tellarknights to rank it down into our Ptolemaeus. And there we have it, a Ptolemaeus with 7 materials who can skip your opponent's turn. Boom. Although, of course, you might want something a bit different, like a Deltros to destroy your opponent's stuff, a Trevette to bounce your opponent's stuff, a Constellar Diamond to make your opponent's rage quit, or if you want to go down the Ptolemaeus route, Infinity. So yeah, I think you get the idea about how this deck works now. I hope this was an enjoyable watch. I hope I've convinced you to give cool older decks like the Tellarknights a chance. And I will see you all for the next video. Bye!